Welcome back, everyone. Today I will be responding to a post from a Reddit user who's thinking about going back to school to get their master's degree after losing their job in sales because of the recent incident. So let's take a listen and see what they have to say. A little bit of background about me. Graduated from college almost 6 years ago. I was a late bloomer. Got a sports business degree because I couldn't cut in the PT program and a lot of my kinesiology credits transferred. Plus, I thought I may have wanted to be a sports agent but didn't feel like pursuing a law degree after. Prior to college, I really wanted to pursue a degree in psychology or mental health counseling. Having had a history of mental health and recovery myself, it always fascinated me. I took a few psych and social science classes in college and loved them all, but a few things seemed to discourage me from this path. First off, being young and naive, I was talked out of pursuing these fields of study by some older mentors of mine. They painted pictures of how only damaged people trying to fix themselves go into these careers, or that these weren't the best careers to go down financially. I also knew a number of friends pursuing licensed clinical social workers, and the salary expectations seemed low, which brings me to where I am today. The past 5 years, I've had a fairly successful career in outside sales with a couple of companies and made quite a bit of money right out of college. Sales always been a feather in my cap due to my experience, relatability, and gaining trust quick. But due to the current situation, I've been laid off and have had to pick up a side job that pays very little compared to what I'm used to, but assists in getting bills paid. I'm 32, own a house, have a significant other of 5 years I plan on marrying, 2 cars, and a cat. And now I find myself questioning if I should pursue a career in mental health since it's been something near and dear to me for years. If I could redo college all over again and tell younger me 10 years ago, don't listen to other people and follow your dreams, I would. But right now, I'm not sure if it even makes sense financially or even if it would pay off in the long run. I'm here looking for guidance, experience, and suggestions. At this point, the path seems most feasible is taking the GRE, re-enrolling to get a few credits I need, and pursue a master's in mental health counseling. Get an LPC, and one day open a private practice, maybe in relationship therapy. But I've also been told that if I really enjoyed psychology, do what I need to and see if I can pursue getting my PhD or psychology doctorate. I don't know if I have that kind of time or money, but I'm open to what everyone here may say. Thanks in advance for those who will take time to read my novel. Awesome. So there's a lot of things to consider here as you just kind of decide your path. I mean, you've done a really good job of getting to a point of stability, so that's definitely something to be proud of. You know, don't feel too bad about going down the path that you did. I think for most people, after they've done some time in the real world, they realize a lot of the things that they did or a lot of the things that they were told about working life just weren't really true. You know, and talking to many people and just seeing the amount of posts on Reddit every single day, that are just like this one are kind of proof that most people don't start in the career don't start and even stick with the career they really want. So you got to consider your current living situation. You said you're 32, soon to be married, I'm assuming. Going back to school is going to be a really big sacrifice, not just financially, but also on your personal life as well. You know, consider the amount of time it will take to graduate and how much of that is going to impact your partner's ability to help support you, in this endeavor. Fields like psychology, psychiatry, pediatrics, those types of fields, kind of like, I guess you could say the caring field of the medical. I mean, they're all caring, but these ones specifically are also on the lower end of the pay scale. So that's not to say you can't or won't make money eventually, but it's going to take a while, and you're not going to make what you would, had you, gone into like some other type of, medical doctorate. With that being said, if you plan on having kids someday, that's also going to have a pretty big impact. If you start school, let's say next year at the earliest, you're still going to have to take the GRE and actually get into the school, that specific program. So, at the earliest, you're looking at fall 2021. And, by that time, you're going to be 33, and with a master's, it's going to take you 2 to 3 years to graduate, assuming you're, doing a full-time program and all the requirements. If you go part-time, it's going to be 3 to 4 years, and then you'll be 36 by the time you graduate. Also depending on the school, and if you want to specialize, or, you end up doing the doctorate, you're going to have to do a residency or internship of some sort. So that's, tack another year or 2 on top of that. Again, it's all possible, but you have to ask yourself, how much do you want to start a family and a new career in your late 30s. That's kind of where the big, this or that, you could do both, but, thinking about talking about mental health, think about your own mental health, how much is that going to take a toll on you, but also your spouse or at that point. So there's a kind of one thing I always say to people then they're, thinking about making a lifestyle change and, going back to school or taking a job with lower pay. It's always great to say follow your passions and your dreams, because that's fulfilling. But once you get to a certain level of, get used to a certain standard of living, right? It's really hard to go back to a previous or less standard of living because you're not making that money. So that's going to be a stressor there as well. My advice would be, before you make a decision, contact the school you're thinking of applying to and ask a professor. They usually have someone who is in charge of the graduate program. Ask them what the workload is like. Do they even allow part-time students in a doctorate program? Because they may only accept full-time, which in that case, you're not going to be able to work at all, because you're going to be doing, you're going to have probably some teaching assignments to do, helping professors, with grading and things like that, research, as part of your program as well. So you're going to need to find that out. Ask about financial assistance and scholarships, how much the average student has in debt upon graduating, and what the job prospects in whatever specialty like relationship counseling that you're thinking of going into. Ask what that is. After you have that information, sit down with your partner. I'm assuming you've already done this, but you need to sit down with them again after you've talked to this, advisor, and have a serious conversation about how you see this working and what you're going to require of him or her, and make sure they're on board 100%. And because people can always say they're supportive before the work begins, but once the late night study sessions interfere with things you normally do, or the cutbacks you'll need to make in finances, because you're not going to be working a lot, start to take a toll, all of that supportive talk they gave you may go right out the window as they tell you, you may hear this, well, I didn't know it was going to be like this, so you don't want to even have that conversation, and make sure you really are on board with them in terms of, what they're going to need from you too, because it's got to be a give and take. They can't be the only one sacrificing while you go to school, and, they're having to pick up, everything else. So you're going to have to kind of have that conversation, and if you're both not on board for it, that's part of, obviously being in a relationship and being, at the point of marriage, is you have to decide if you're if you're able to be on that path together. Third, take a look at the job market in your area. Do some market research and see how much people in your area get paid for, that field. Take an average and juxtapose that with your expenses and debt, and see if it will pay off, or how long it's going to be until it does pay off. Sit down and finally write pro and con the decision. Literally write it down on paper. If the pros outweigh the cons, you'll know. But if it's a tie or the cons outweigh the pros, you may need to consider other options. So this is just a starting point of things to consider. It's a lot to think about, but you really need to lay out everything in a methodical way to process what it's going to be like. If getting that degree is what you really decide, I really hope it works well for you. And I hope, you can continue to find what you like. And I hope, obviously your partner is going to stay with you on that track, because obviously that's the best case scenario. If you decide that it's not, that's okay too. But, you have to do your due diligence ahead of time. So anyways, that will wrap up this video. If you'd like to speak with me further, you can reach out to me, email. You can also check out my website, www.pbeatty.com, www.p as in Paul, B as in boy, A as in apple, D as in dog, Y as in yellow.com, where you can download a free copy of my ebook, which is actually a problem-solving guide, and it might even have some useful information or insight for you as you kind of navigate this process. So, go ahead and, download that if you get the chance. Anyways, yeah, I will talk to you all soon, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you later.